Have you ever wondered how to make an oblique cross halving joint? In this video, I'll show you how you can create this beautiful joint that is so aesthetic and pleasing to the eye that this will probably be a big seller. Now this is a stool, or it could be a outdoor table, but it's all made from recycled wood, and I can show you how I did this in this video coming up. Like a lot of my videos, I start out with repurposed wood, and sometimes I have to clean up the wood before I can get started. As you can see, this board here has what looks like pocket holes. They are actually pocket holes because I disassembled a piece that I found on the side of the road and decided to reuse it. Now I've got these 4 boards cleaned up pretty good. We can do a little sanding afterwards. This next section, I'll show you how I set up and lay out the oblique cross halving joint on my workbench. As you can see, I have a stop set up with marks. These are the width of the legs that I like. Now I have 60-degree angles cut on the bottoms of these legs, and I place them in the marks, and then I can make my mark where the boards intersect. Flipping it over, doing the same thing, lining up the marks with the bottoms, I can do the same for the opposite side. Make my marks. Now I have my marks on the boards. This is where I'll make my cuts. The next step is to get the depth of the cut. I take the thickness of the board, or both boards, and divide that in half. That should give me the center line of the board. That'll represent the top of the cut. I use my dial calipers for these measurements, and it's easy to divide in half and use the edge of the dial calipers to make the marks, and then darken them in with pencil so that I can easily see them. And then once I have the marks set, the depth is set, and these 2 pieces should go together and be a flush joint. Now I'll do the vertical lines for the start and end of the joint, or the start and the end of the cuts, which is a dado basically. And once I have the vertical lines added, I can mark in where the cut will be to identify where the waist is. And we're ready to make the cuts. I'll use my miter gauge that came with the table saw, and as you can see, I've attached a board to it to give me a surface to rest my workpiece on. I'll set this at 60 degrees and lock it down, making sure it's nice and tight. Now this isn't the best miter gauge setup, but it works for this situation here. I didn't show it, but I actually started the cuts at the workbench using my pull saw so that I would establish a cut line before removing the waste from this area. And as you can see, it just takes several passes and you have a nice clean dado. And I'll do the same with the other board. As you can see here, lining it up isn't too difficult, and you have to make sure that you take care and be extra careful to keep your fingers away from the blade area. It's pretty simple to do. If you've ever wondered why these throat covers are different colored than the tabletop, it's because it's meant for you to keep your hands outside of that colored area. And as you can see, I might be just slightly inside that colored area, but I'm being very cautious. And we have a pretty good fit. And here are both the legs, pre-assembled. Now I'll cut the bases that go on the ends of those legs. Quick work on the miter saw, and I've got the pieces that I need, which is a total of 4 pieces. These are cut to approximately 12 inches. Now I'll assemble these pieces to the legs. First I'll use a little glue and tack them on with the brad nail. Later on I'll use screws to permanently affix the 2 pieces together. I don't need to be too critical about the alignment on these. I just want to make sure that I have equal spacing on both sides so that it looks pleasing to the eye. Here you can see I'll add the glue. I marked lines so that I can have a reference point to go back to when I'm ready to assemble. Once I have it all lined up, then I can fire a couple brad nails in the ends, and that should hold it. I'll use clamps to make sure that there's pressure on the glue joint as well. And like I said, I'll come back later on and drive screws into the ends of these so that we have a permanent attachment. And there you can see what the legs look like when they're all assembled. Now I can start on the top for this pair of legs that I've made. I'll cut this top piece to 6 3/4 inches. That'll give me 13.5 inches when glued together. And also it will give me a clean edge to glue to. I've already marked the center of the board, so I plan on cutting this in half and doing a glue up of the 2 pieces. Here you see me cutting it on the miter saw. Now I plan on using this piece for a cross section to attach the 2 legs together. And I'm trying to get the center location to match on both pieces. So I measure from the bottom of the leg to the top of where the cross piece will attach. I mark lines so I have references as well. I'm using CA glue and accelerator to make a quick attachment for these legs. It's not a permanent glue, but it'll hold it so that I can finish the attachment of the legs. I have the one piece attached with glue, and now I'll add the other piece. It doesn't take long for this CA glue to dry, so I'll just give it a little pressure, and then within a matter of 10-15 seconds, it's attached. Now it's back over to the table saw to get the rough size for the top. The dimension was close already, so all I need to do is to remove just a little bit to make everything square. "18 inches was the dimension I believe that I used for this. Now it's time to more permanently attach these pieces that I brad nailed to the tops and bottoms of the legs by using screws. First I'll drill these starting holes at an angle just about halfway through the board, and then I'll follow that up with screws. Well, if you thought you'd get through this without any sanding, you were wrong. I need to do a little sanding on the top just to make everything look a little nicer and smoother to the touch. Now I can start the process of attaching the legs to the top. First I'll add a little glue and then position the legs to the reference line that I marked earlier that I didn't show you. Now I'll add a few screws to hold it in place. Everything seemed to be going pretty well, but you know, when things are going really good, you have to be aware that something could happen to disrupt this flow. And little did I know, even though I drilled this one section here, when I started to put the screw in, apparently I wasn't deep enough with the drill. And as you can see, oops, and this thing came out really nice. And like I said before, I think this would be a good seller. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And like always, please subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see future videos like this one or similar. I really appreciate all the comments and likes from all my subscribers and non-subscribers. Thanks for watching the video. And until next time, this is